how do you start that customer experience from the extremities of your online presence? That's my question this week. And we have an expert. Last week we had Zoe Hanson, the podcast lady. She hates being called DJ Zoe. Here is our expert on podcasts even. This week we've got Ricky Locke, customer experience legend, who's going to help us get our head round how you get that customer experience going. But it's normally quite hands-on from the extremities of your online presence. When that person kind of touches you on that random account that you don't really look after, but you need them to get you from the outset. Ricky, how are you, mate?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, good to see you, mate. Yeah, well, how about you?
Yeah, no, really, really good. I know you are with a newborn at the moment, so thank you so much for your time. But yeah, let's get talking about this customer experience and how it starts. Because that's, I know I've just asked you a question, but at Yellow Tuxedo, we're all about building this ecosystem, this online presence, about repurposing content onto as many different platforms as possible. And we're not just talking social media, we're looking at things like Giphy, medium.com, comments that we would repurpose and repost onto. But we do that because we want people to find us on them and they find our brand and get to know us. So how do we get that customer experience, that excitement started from there? That's the question today, Ricky.
Great question, Alan. So I think if anything, that has got to be that first step in everything that you guys do and you teach, that whole omnipresent brand, finding you everywhere. That's got to have that consistency so that if we was to find your business or find yourself on Facebook, on YouTube or on Instagram or LinkedIn, wherever it might be, there's got to be that level of consistency that goes, oh yes, that's the person that does this. I get that. And you as you say it so well, that buying into that ecosystem. So the very first point before anything is whatever you're doing is you have that omnipresence everywhere so you can find all types of different customers. But the first thing I think you've got to start off with is the first impression. It's got to be a memorable first impression. And I think we talked about it a lot before about that authenticity. So whatever you decide to do, whatever you're putting out there, you have to convey that authenticity. So if I see a video from you, Alan, on YouTube, I downright expect that if I was to ring you, you're going to talk to me like you do on the camera. And that's how I would say it. So I think there's got to be that level of consistency in whatever you do, but you have to have that first impression. And as we've shared before, there's a little bit of science of how this works, but it takes up to 7 seconds to create a first impression. So for anyone who's never probably met me before or watched me, you're going to look at me and you're going to make an assumption in your brain based on how I look. You might think I might look like an idiot. You might think this might not be great content, but as you start listening to me, you then go, right, okay, I get it. But whatever you decide to do, you've got to have a really powerful first impression. The science does state, as my mentor says, that you can have up to 4 minutes then to recover if it's bad, but you've got to have a really great, powerful first impression because, Alan, I'm sure you've been on a holiday before.
Yeah. Not for a while, but I have been.
Not for a while, but what usually happens is that once you go away and you have a great time, it's that first experience you feel. So a lot of people, when you go on holiday, you always go, oh God, the delays at the airport was terrible. Oh, how was the holiday? Oh yeah, the holiday was great. Yeah, it was really good. But that's the first thing you always remember. So whatever you decide to do, the first step has to be creating a memorable and magical first impression. So, yeah.
Always. I like that, Ricky. I do. But so that question, so I get that, I've got that 7 seconds, I've got 4 minutes to recover. And to be honest, if I've messed up in the first, or they've decided they don't like me within the first 7 seconds, the chance of them holding on for that 4 minutes are pretty remote, let's be brutally honest. And we know that in the kind of TikTok, Instagram Reels generation of you've got half a second to kind of get people to watch your content. But when we're just, a lot of the clients we work with and a lot of the watchers of our videos, they perhaps aren't doing video content, and it's more about their profile picture, their account, the bio, and what they're posting, the text. Any thoughts on that, on how to just start that customer experience in the simplest of terms, on the simplest of content, I guess?
Yeah, so there's, I think it just comes down to that consistency piece again. So, for example, if you're researching something, if there's a business out there that you're selling a product, but you might want to kind of gather some information about, you are going to look at multiple different avenues or channels to find where those products are being hosted, maybe those reviews. But I think it's really looking about that consistency. If, let's say, for example, Alan, you are selling an online course for something, I don't know, in the digital circus. Now, if you're selling it on, I don't know, let's say LinkedIn, I might want to kind of get a bit of curiosity first. So I'll go looking into different videos and other stuff that you're doing. But if maybe one of your channels isn't the same brand color, it isn't the same consistency, then I might go, oh, is this the right person that I'm talking to? Or is this the right person that's trying to sell me something? So I don't think it really matters in terms of like, I know we've had these conversations before about how polished or how slick things are looking for. I think you've just got to have an element of consistency. So example for me would be if you was to go from my website to what I do on Instagram, the color scheme's there, the photo style, the photo, edits are there. They all look the same, and it's all that consistency. So if someone wants to buy maybe, let's say, an online magic show from me, which is one of the products I sell, they can see that clear transparency from, little plug, from
always,
that website
mate, always.
to Instagram. Yeah, but I wouldn't get hooked into too much of the detail of what it looks like. As we said before, it's about starting, but you do need to have that level of consistency across it. But it's about, the real key, I think, here is about what you do from that start to that end. So if you've got something out there, whatever that first impression looks like, to providing the product and then the ending, the magic and that wonderful experience that you create is in between all of that, all of the little steps that you don't necessarily think of. Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. I get that totally what you're saying. And we've had a couple of those recently. Like I was on someone's website, a potential client, not as in we were screening them, I was having a look through their stuff. And I clicked through onto their social accounts because we always do that. And one went to some random kind of Twitter account that had a bizarre handle that was sort of relevant and hadn't been updated in like 4 years. And I clicked through onto their Instagram and it had been updated yesterday. Now, I'm not saying it should be the same thing on there, but if you're going to have that Twitter account, it's got to be there. It's got to feel right, hasn't it? And we look at customer experiences in that sort of, I'm trying to think in that retail world. I think that's the easiest thing to get your head around customer experience is to think about being in a shop. So when you're in the business world and it's actually someone approaching you via an extremity of your online presence, getting that consistency has to be key. The other thing, sorry, we were chatting to someone today. We put a post out on Instagram yesterday about me and Emily and I eating a plate of potatoes, roast potatoes. We were inspired by a Jamie Oliver show. But once again, it's that. So if we're talking about potatoes here, which granted is not everyone's cup of tea or roast potato, over here we can't be talking about professionalism is wearing a suit and doing that. It's got to balance out. If you're talking about potatoes here, you talk about potatoes there, don't you?
Yes. So, absolutely. So this happened to me this morning, actually. So there's, obviously, as people know, I do podcasting, speaking, but I've also got a magic business in the wedding industry.
Links below for all of Ricky's stuff. Yes.
I reached out to a wedding photographer that I'm going to be working with at the weekend. So as I did, I reached out to her, as we do, just to have a great, memorable, because I want to create a great experience for her too, that we're going to be working together. And I looked for the name, and the last photo that they posted on Instagram was 2019 August, which makes me then kind of your perception and that thin slicing your brain thinking, oh, okay, is this someone that's still active? Are they still passionate? I don't know. There's probably loads of different things I'm thinking about that's probably not relevant, but you then start to think, how's this experience going to be with this person? Now, it could well just be that they don't use that Instagram channel anymore. It might just be a completely dormant account. Who knows? But I think that then kind of goes back into everything about you've got to have that consistency and keeping active across everything so that whatever channel someone finds you at, it's a consistent approach from the LinkedIn message, the Instagram, the YouTube. It's got to be there all the way.
No, it does. It does. Ricky, look, I think we need to draw a line under this. And we're close to this turning into a podcast episode, which is something we were talking about before we hit record. Perhaps we should have this or a podcast episode in the future. Thank you all so much for watching today. It's truly, truly appreciated. And if you're new to our channel or you're not subscribed, please do subscribe and click on the button. It will always be appreciated. All stuff about Ricky will be in the comments below, but really just get that consistency and that feeling right from the outset. All right, that's what you've got to do to get started. Thanks, Ricky, and thank you. Bye, everyone.